Hello everyone, happy Saturday. So today's talk will be on affirmations. I have kind of a bit of a love-hate relationship with those. I've come across affirmations for the first time when I was about 14, 15, when my mom introduced me to Louise Hay. If you haven't heard of her, she wrote a book, goodness, I think it's Heal Your Life. It was the first one, which basically she explains that through positive affirmations, you can improve your physical health. The book is quite popular, it's easy to get, I'm sure many of you already read it. And many of you probably had different experiences with it. So to me, my mum recommended this because I had a lot of health issues when I was younger, allergies and asthma and broken bones and all sorts, and some infections and stuff that I was fighting. And she suggested that that was the illnesses were coming from my mind. Not that I was willing them on, but the negativity in my mind, the trauma that might have been stored somewhere was being demonstrated through the body, and that those positive affirmations would help to change that. Did it work? No, it didn't. And I felt when I was doing it, because you're supposed to look in a mirror when you're saying it, and you're supposed to say things like, I love myself and I fully accept myself, and all sorts, like, for different conditions there are different affirmations while you're looking in a mirror and you're meant to mean it. And I just felt so stupid. And like, it's just words, it means nothing. Like, my mind kept saying, it's just such bullshit. Of course I don't love myself. Of course I don't accept myself, And it's like, it's just meaningless. Like, what's the point? So it didn't work, and I didn't like it, and it felt inauthentic, although I didn't know that word at the time. But it just didn't feel right. And so I just left it, put it aside. And I came across affirmations again a couple of years ago. I mean, I obviously knew about them, but like, they came back to my life when I used them. And I used them to support some work that I was already doing, like internal work. And they were meant to reinforce that work. And different forms, like nowadays a lot of affirmations tend to be in a why form, so it's a question. So for example, if your positive affirmation is I am successful, the why form is, why am I so successful? So when you basically pose in the mind a question, it's much more likely to go and find the answer and find the reasons why you're so successful, which then supposed to change your mindset. So actually, let's have a look at the structure of positive affirmation. It's good to be in the present tense. It should be in a I am form. Sometimes it's not exactly possible, but you want the I am to be involved as much as possible. So again, as I've mentioned, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I'm acceptable, I'm successful. Whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, or whatever your negative talk is, you could almost write down all those negative thoughts that go through your mind and then transfer them into the positive present tense statement. So let's say if in your mind it's like, oh, I'm so stupid, I never amount to anything, I'm not good enough, no one loves me. So you can then translate that in I'm really smart and clever, I am lovable, I am good enough. So you just turn it around, and it's all in a positive present tense. They say you should avoid any negative words, so don't use positive affirmations in negative. So for example, don't say I'm not I'm not stupid, say I am clever. Don't say I'm not alone, say I am loved and surrounded by loving people. Things like this. So although it seems like I'm not alone seems like a positive phrase, the mind still reads it as negative because of the not in there. Apparently so. So there's actually recently some research been going into it, and at the moment results are kind of mixed. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I do believe that they have some place in our healing and in our growth, but I don't think the way they tend to be applied is the best way. I have discussed this with my wonderful teacher and therapist, who has actually written an article about this that I've actually posted. I reposted a few weeks back, and from my experience, basically the conclusion I came to is we think all the time. Yeah, there's likely something going on in your mind all the time. 90% of it is probably quite pointless and useless. Like, it doesn't have any practical application in your life, and it's just constant thinking, it's constant commentary on what's going on. And when this is negative, it tends to bring up negative emotions like anger, frustration, anxiety, sadness, whatever, like the emotions we don't particularly like feeling. They're brought up by these thoughts, and when these thoughts are persistent and repeated, backed up by those often strong beliefs, they can get stored. Strong emotions, they can get stored as beliefs. So if you tell yourself long enough and often enough, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, you will create a belief in your mind that that's the reality, that's who you are, that becomes part of your identity, which can be challenging to shift. But one of the ways to shift that is to basically install a belief that opposes that and make it strong enough to be stronger than the existing belief. And that's basically where the positive affirmations come in. That's why it's all these teachers are recommending to do this. But so there is something to it in that respect, that you can interrupt the pattern of negative critical, especially self-critical thinking, the judgment, all that keeps going on in your mind, and instead insert more positive thoughts, because that will then make you feel better, because when you think positive thoughts, you will feel positive feelings, and that will reflect in your life. Like, it's just natural way of being. I mean, I'm sure you notice when you feel shit, everything goes to shit. When you feel good, everything goes good. Like, I can, from my own experience, like when I feel a bit down and a bit anxious or frustrated or whatever, suddenly my clients start cancelling all over the place, not turning up, and the cash flow disappears, like just like that. And then the moment I feel better and I feel just relaxed in myself and just happy with myself and just okay with life in general, just at peace, clients come from out of nowhere, like people that I've never heard of before just appear, book packages for like 10 weeks, and like miracles literally happen, say me last minute before I had to pay the rent, that kind of stuff. Like, and it's all shift in my energy. That's what it affects both ways, negative and positive. It's all about a shift in my energy, and that shift in my energy comes from feeling either positive or negative, and the feelings of positivity or negativity comes from what I'm thinking. So yes, there's definitely something to it, that what you think you become, and that it is important to for you to decide what you think, as opposed to just let it happen and let it control you. Not as easy as it sounds, but with practice, mindfulness practice, it's definitely something that can be done. However, just reciting positive affirmations like every morning or whatever, of I am successful, I'm lovable or whatever, every day into a mirror or just in your mind or whatever, it's unlikely to work, especially if the affirmations are incongruent with your existing beliefs. Because if the beliefs is strong enough, especially the kind of existential ones that kind of based around I'm not good enough, not lovable, not acceptable, kind of rejection, abandonment stuff, all these beliefs that are quite core to our being, that have been created when we were very, very little, when we were non-verbal, are so ingrained in our being that it's unlikely that some words that you find hard to relate to, especially to start with, will change that. It's just, it just creates the incongruency, and actually it can have the opposite effect of strengthening the belief, because every time you say I'm lovable but your mind comes up with bullshit, I'm not, you actually strengthen the belief because the thoughts are still in that negative frame. So I'd suggest, because that's what's helping me, it's seeing a therapist, seeing a coach, and using those affirmations when we notice they so when you read them to yourself, notice your chatter, notice your answers to these affirmations, notice how you feel about them. Does it trigger you? Does it give you that that's not really true feeling? Or does it give you, yeah, it's absolutely me, I am so lovable, and you feel it in your body that is true? Then you're fine, but then you don't need it. Then it can be just a reminder. If you have just a little slip up, if something happens on the outside, it's could make you feel less lovable, and it's but no, I am lovable. And because you know that feeling, because that's within you, it will just come to the surface, and that's fine. That's where the affirmation can be actually really helpful. But if you truly within you don't feel like you're lovable, then no matter how many times you say it on the outside, it's not really gonna make a difference. So what you want to work with, I suggest therapist rather than coach, is working on those core beliefs, softening them up, opening them up. So then once you start changing those, once you start becoming more accepting of yourself and the dark side as well as the beautiful light side, those affirmations then can help to support you or act as an indication where work still needs to be done. But definitely feel that with these kind of things, guidance is required. And if you're just gonna parrot some affirmations from someone who created them for someone else, or for themselves, and they just share them, they're unlikely to truly resonate. You're much better off creating your own, perhaps with the guidance of a coach or therapist, that really resonate with you, that really you have that positive vibe, and it's more as a reminder and as a way of interrupting the negative thinking. But only if you're actually congruent with that positive affirmation and if you believe it. Otherwise, you're just bullshitting yourself. And from my experience, it leads to nothing but disappointment. Because here later you look around, it's well, nothing changed in my life. I'm still not successful as I see it. I'm still not rich. I'm still haven't got that dream job. I still haven't got a dream husband, whatever. Because it's not about that. It's about the energy and the emotions, and for that you need to be congruent with who you are. So you need to start changing how you see yourself, and if you feel you can't do that yourself, find help, because that helped me. I hope this makes sense. So affirmations are positive statements in the present tense. They are meant to interrupt the negative thinking patterns and hopefully even change them, which is okay if it's a superficial issue, but if it's a core issue, you might need to address that first otherwise the incongruence can interrupt the process. All right, let me know what you think of affirmations, what your experiences are. Have they helped you or not so much? Do you love and hate them as much as I do? Let me know, and take care.